Because contrary to popular belief, not all teachers like the sound of their own voice. And contrary to what my husband and my daughter and close friends and perhaps even my colleagues at work might think, I actually don't like the sound of my own voice either. So it might not be quite the 25 minutes that I've been asked to speak for. But what's made the task of preparing for today's event that little bit easier was the knowledge that I know how far I've come. And to be able to stand here today and address such an amazing group of people is an absolute honour. I want to start by thanking my husband and my daughter for coming out to support me today. Not just because I can relax in the knowledge that I've got a lift home, or because I've got my video office here, but also because they're my biggest cheerleaders, and it's a blessing to be able to share this experience with them. But in 1972, the year that Urban Learning Centre was first was opened, and it wasn't just a memorable year for the students that went here. 1972 was also the year of the miners' strike. It was the year of the first official Gay Pride March, and it was the year the England women's national football team played their first, and I say first, association football match against Scotland, 100 years after the men's match. I was born in that year, and Fanny Newton was born in that year, and they were all Londoners. But most notably of all, it was the year that I was born. And as it happens, Sandy Newton and I both share the same birthday, the 6th of November, just in case anyone wants to send me a card. Now, it may seem like fate or blind coincidence that two amazing institutions were birthed in London in 1972. And, much like this campus, I think I look pretty good for my age, even if I must say so myself. But 50 years, although for some in this room, especially anyone born after the year 2000, may seem pretty old, it's actually not. For the first 8 years of my life, they were the only mum and dad that I knew. And I was one of the only black children in town. All the other black children, probably about 4 in total, were my foster siblings. That's Sean by C, and that's me and my foster siblings. Can anybody spot me? Yes, that's me. Okay. To say the town in which I spent my formative years lacked diversity would have been an understatement. But I never felt different. My English foster parents never made me feel different. In fact, the only time I ever felt different was when I was in infant school, and the teacher pointed out that I was writing with my left hand and promptly made me learn to write with my right hand. Those are the 70s, the teachers in England at the moment. And so I know that I stand here as a representation of those in leadership from the Black and Asian community. It's so easy to start blowing your own trumpet that you block out the sound of the rest of the orchestra that make the music sound even sweeter. I couldn't have got where I am today without someone else being willing to send the elevator back down to the ground floor so that I could embark on my leadership journey. When I think of the concept of sending the elevator back down, I always think of the humble, lonely driver. The one who indicates left and then turns right. The one that stalls at the lights and then takes forever to get going again because they can't find the right gear. The one that doesn't quite know which lane to take when approaching a roundabout and then ends up going round and round several times because they're so nervous of coming off the correct junction. That may be you, may have been you a week, a month, a year or a decade ago. But the problem is, all those things that we may have done as learner drivers, we very quickly forget the moment the examiner announces we've passed and the L plates come off. But it's important to remember for those of us who are confident drivers now, and for some perhaps a little on the cocky side, we're all once learner drivers. And somebody may have exercised a lot of patience when they were sitting behind us as we stalled for the umpteenth time, or clipped the curb, or didn't quite stop when the instructor tapped the dashboard for the emergency stop. Not things that happened to me, I might add, despite the fact that it took me 6 attempts to pass. Sending the elevator back down is about the way in which you support those who are coming up behind you. Whatever your profession, there will always be newbies, the less experienced, the ones who want to get to where you are today but aren't quite sure how. It starts in secondary school. Those eager year 7s who desperately want to be as cool as the year 11s but aren't. They just need someone to take them under their wing and show them the ropes, rather than bricks and mortar or the latest version of a policy document. That legacy will impact on an individual for many years to come. Now, not to get morbid or anything, but I don't want my epitaph to say she was a success. I wanted to say she sent the elevator back down. Obviously, I also wanted to say she was a wonderful wife, mother, friend, colleague, who reckoned she was an introvert, but we know better. But I just want a headstone, not a monument. Although, maybe we'll talk later. The measure of my success is the legacy that I leave behind in the impact I'm able to make on those that I meet. The legacy the University of Cumbria is having on this area of London is impactful, and you've heard it already. 70% of primary schools in the London Borough of Tower Hamlets have a Cumbria-trained teacher. There were 83 primary schools in Tower Hamlets, and doing the maths, it means that around 58 staff that were trained here go to those schools. That's some impact. In turn, those teachers will impact a proportion of the 26,337 students that attend those schools. And who knows what impact those children will go on to have in the communities they choose to serve as adults. That's the legacy this campus is leaving. I told you it was nearly 25 minutes.